Hello, I'm John, the executive producer here at Final Show Films. I got a few notes for you before the show. First, I want to thank you all for watching. We couldn't do what we do or the amount of things that we do without the support of you, the viewer. If you want to support us financially, which we always appreciate, you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms, where you can donate as little as $1 a month to help us continue this and all the things that we do. I want to give a special shout out to our $25 supporters, Antitonic, Waterflame, and Samantha Bates. Second, I want to let you all know that we here at Final Show Films are planning a little get-together up at Gen Con this year. That's August 2nd through 5th up at Indianapolis. We're going to be up there just sort of hanging out, enjoying the con, spending time together, and if any of you guys want to come up and say hi, please feel free. We don't bite unless you want us to. And if you enjoy whatever it is you're about to watch or listen to, be sure to check out our website at finalshowfilms.com, where you can find links to all of our other content, both podcast and video. And be sure to follow me at John A. Bates on Twitter for more updates on all of the content we're creating in the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy. We're live. Michelle,
Live.
We're live.
Okay.
Live.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our live Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, West Rising. I'm your storyteller for the evening, Michelle. And let me introduce our players once again. Let's start with Erin tonight.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I am playing Thistle, the children of Gaia Theurge, who may or may not be played by me, the pre-recorded hologram.
and John.
I'm John, and I am playing Shadow, Fenris Arun, and I am actively here because the hologram couldn't be in this much physical pain.
I realize I pointed to you, but you're in like a completely different place on their screen,
fine.
so I could be pointing anywhere. And Jack.
Hey everybody, I'm Jack, and I play Tag Connolly, the Ragabash of the Fianna.
And Craig.
Hi, I'm Craig. I'm playing Grudek, the Bonar Galliard.
And William.
Hi, I'm William, and I'm playing C. Walsh, the Uktena Philodox, and as I am learning, androids do feel pain.
So previously on West Rising, the new World Bearers pack had just discovered the massacre of a reclusive guru and kinfolk cult called the Tarson, who had hidden themselves away on private land near an RV park for many generations, only to now be completely wiped out by an apparent black spiral dancer attack. Missing from the carnage was Morning Cloud's teenage son, a metis she secretly conceived with a bone gnar around 15 years ago. Somewhat secretly. It's a little less secret now than it was yesterday. So, when last we left our heroes, one of them, C, was still back at the cairn, keeping an eye on things. And the other four had gone in Silver Glare's soccer mom minivan down to the RV park, where they have just completed an appropriate Tarson-sanctioned burial rites for all of the 50 people that the Black Spirals massacred. With Thistle's help, they have gotten everyone appropriately interred and prayed over in the fashion that C's mother and Morning Cloud knew how to do. And so it is now moonrise. It's like about 10:30 at night. The moon has risen. It's a waning gibbous moon still. So that means you get back some rain. That means Rudy gets back all of his if he needs any.
Question about rage. Does it fill to our max, or does it go for beyond that?
Just goes up to your maximum rage value.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes to your maximum
if
rage value.
If you're already maxed out, you don't get any.
Just wanted to make sure that I didn't break my rage limit and just go into feral beast mode.
All right. So see if there's anything that you want to be doing right now at the cairn. We can start with you. Otherwise, we'll pick up at the burial site. See, did you want to be doing while all this is going on, or are you just?
I'm at the moment. I'm trying to recommit in my head where C was at the end of last session, because it's been a couple of weeks.
You were standing in the middle of a field, melodramatically looking up at the sky, trying not to
Yeah.
scream.
Yeah, you were sort of doing the no, except without the rain and the actual screaming.
Well, I mean, not in the middle of a field, in the middle of the redwoods.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment he's just going to. The redwoods are pretty central to the camp, right?
Yep.
If I recall.
Yep. There's a little map that you can pull up too in your journal if you want, that to remind you where everything is. But the redwoods are, they're basically in the center at one edge. There's that sort of cliff type thing that's to the southwest, along the southwest edge, and then the redwoods are kind of right up against it with a little stream going down to the northeast.
Yeah, I think at the moment he's going to be staying in the circle of redwoods and just keeping eyes on the entirety of the cairn, because it's a pretty optimal location to see everything that's going on.
Yep, you're at the highest elevation of the cairn, and then everything's pretty much equidistant on either side. You've got the amphitheater off to your right, and the tent's off to your left. From assuming you're facing downstream. You can see pretty much everything from there. The only thing you can't see is like inside the cabins where Tea Tree hangs out mostly inside her cabin, and then there's the cabin with the children inside it, and you can't see in there. But other than that, you keep an eye on pretty much everything. And Bridge Runner's in with the kids, so you can't see him either. But everyone else is wandering around doing their things.
What is down the cliff, by the way? I feel silly. I never asked.
The park.
It's up the cliff, actually. The cliff forms like a wall at the at the southwestern edge of the cairn grounds. It's there's a barrier basically, but up above it, there's more tourist trails and stuff. But they can't see down there or anything, and it's a steep drop, so they can't enter that way either without breaking bones.
Thanks.
Yep. Even a guru, it would be too powerful.
Yeah, so that's what he's
basically what you're saying is once every 4 or 5 years, the guru have to recover a hunter's body and bring it back to the areas that are okay for people to find it.
Yep, and people wonder
Take
why
it back for people to find
all
it.
its bones are shattered.
Bury that shit and we'll leave it.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
See, the problem
we
is
get
that
a tourist every few years that really thinks that jump's a good idea.
The thing is,
you don't want missing persons out there.
Yeah, because then they keep looking if they don't find the person. So yeah, they probably do.
I mean, if you have certified rangers on staff, the rangers went to the place the person was known to have gone missing and eventually found him.
Yep. Actually, some of your sept are actually park rangers, some of the kinfolk.
Including my dad.
Yep. Tim is an actual park ranger, as are a couple of the kinfolk.
Yeah, so.
Fun times.
Yeah, that's what C's doing at the moment, so.
Okay.
I'm just noticing that because of my lighting, my chin keeps disappearing. It's weird.
Disappearing body parts. All right. Okay, so now that it's all of the sad ceremony is concluded, Silver Glare kind of gathers everybody back up that she drove down there in her minivan. So the four of you plus C's mom and Morning Cloud, and she starts to sort of gather you up, and
we have our own van.
You came down in
C's van. No, we came down in C's van.
Some of us have been down here. Some of us have been down here the entire day.
I still came with them.
Okay, that's a bit of logistics that I had actually forgotten about. So you've got 2 cars now.
Yeah.
Okay, who are the new arrivals that came down with
Silver Glare?
Thistle,
Silver Glare, Morning Cloud, and C's mom.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So yeah, you've got 2 cars, but anyway, Silver Glare is gathering everyone. to find out, who's going back in what car, etc. So she hunts everybody down and sort of gathers them into one place, and basically says,
I will.
"All right,
I will shift out of Krynos.
who is driving whom to where now?"
I know that.
Oh, I succeed the hell out of that.
Sorry.
That's all right. Now we have one more stop we must make before heading back to the cairn. It would be best if Thistle stays with us and you take the others back.
Okay. So the four of you pack mates want to go in C's car then, and
Yes.
I'll take. All right. What stop do you need to make?
We have to confirm the location of that van.
Thistle is looking very confused and.
That's in Silicon Valley. That's in Death Valley.
No, Shadow doesn't think it is.
Over the totem, Grudek says, "Shadow, we know it's not here. Where do you think it is?"
I believe it to be back at that hotel, but we need to confirm it's there.
I could also possibly check in with my contacts in San Francisco while we go. I do think perhaps someone should go back to accompany the others, so that worst case scenario, C is not alone back at the set.
This is not something that I would intend us to stop and look around. Only investigate while driving past.
While this mental conversation is happening, Tig is talking to Silver Glare so as to cover all of this, like just zoning out that all of his mates are doing.
Yeah.
What did we say?
I was trying to say something that was happening aloud as well.
Oh, okay. And Thistle is doing things too.
what is being said aloud right now that Silver Glare
Thistle will. I know that my father thinks, and I think Inkar Pack leader agrees that that there are conversations that need to happen, fuck.
So do you want then, if they're going to stop somewhere else and you're in a hurry to get back to the Sept, would you like to get in the car with me and Morning Cloud, and if they're going back to the city, they could take C's mom with them, drop her off in the city, and you and I could go straight back to the cairn with Morning Cloud if you want.
Yeah. Actually, logistically, that should be. I'll look to C's mom. Are you okay to go back to your place, or?
Yes, I should go back and tell my husband what's happened, and I need to be at home now, so I'll go with whoever's going to the city.
Yeah, I'd prefer if you go with at least some of us, because just coming from here, it's
over the link. C goes, Thistle, if you're returning, bring my sword back.
Mm-hmm. Thistle will. We need to confirm that intel. That is a way to do it. I'm just assuming that everyone else heard, and I will get that later.
Yep.
But no, I think that having some of our pack going along with you, Silver Glare, wouldn't be a bad idea at all. I'll probably actually have to consider what C might be wanting to happen with our various deployments, but I believe that it'll be Shadow and myself, maybe Grudek, although there's every chance possible that C would want him back at the cairn faster than later.
Someone has to drive the other car. I know Grudek can drive. I don't think Shadow can drive.
Grudek is
Tig,
our
I'm
driver.
fairly certain you're not allowed to drive in this country.
Just because I'm not allowed to doesn't mean I'm not perfectly capable.
The last thing we need
Let's
is
not get a
all of
ticket.
Tig,
Um,
I would
think
rather have your eyes looking out than your hands on the wheel.
So who? Let's
Thistle will actually sort of retreat into the mental conversation for a second, let other people cover it from a verbal perspective, and Shadow
Rudek tags in.
Anyway, what does Thistle want to say?
Shadow, I respect that you feel the location of the van is important, but we have a number of priorities.
The location of the van is important. We do not currently know where our enemies are, which means we do not know where they are going to be striking next. Also, there is a child missing, and we know the child will be wherever that van is. This is not negotiable.
I don't think we know those things.
How much time does that add on to our trip?
An hour and a half minimum, given previous. Probably more, but given previous trajectories, it's about that. I am assuming traffic patterns, as I understand them, are not heaviest at this time of night, but yeah.
All right, so from what I understand, we're thinking Thistle is going back in the vehicle that Silver Glare brought down, and taking once all the information's translated, taking the sword with Zer vehicle, and then Shadow, Grudek, and Tig will be taking C's vehicle to swing by the Mills
And also
hotel.
taking C's mom back to her place.
Yeah, either. I think it's a bit of an either situation. Grudek or Thistle needs to be with Shadow's group if Shadow insists, because we're the ones who can drive, legally speaking.
Okay.
I imagine. So meanwhile, out loud, Silver Glare is trying to ascertain who exactly is driving whom where. Now, of course, if possible, I would just like to take my own van wherever I'm going. But it doesn't matter to me whether I drive straight back to the cairn or go to the city. It depends on who needs me to drive them. What we know for sure is that we're going to have one car going straight back to the cairn, and another car is going to the city to drop off C's mom and do some investigating there. So which car am I driving? Am I going straight back? Well, I know which car I'm driving. I'm driving mine because...
which route?
But yeah, right. Which route?
We could have...
You're the worm foe, I think.
I would prefer if all things being equal, I'd prefer to go back to the cairn and consult with Tim and T-Tree and all of that. But if there aren't enough drivers or what have you,
Rudek will drive us. Thistle, you can go back with Silver Glare.
All right. So you're going in the van with me, and C's mom is going with the rest of you. Is that correct? And
right.
Morning Cloud is coming with us too as well.
I'm gonna. Can I get an empathy? Does Grudek seem okay with that, given that
Yeah, do perception and empathy.
Yeah, because the next things that are happening at the cairn are very
and I would probably
galliard things.
Yeah, because I don't think Grudek is particularly hard to read, so that would be difficulty 6, I think.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Well, that's not actually a botch because I rolled a 10, but
Okay.
no.
Yeah, so Thistle cannot tell how Gurdek is feeling. It's dark right now, and his facial
Yeah.
expression is somewhat obscured.
Okay. So in that case, Thistle will... Fine.
How much of
takes
the current plan has been relayed to C, by the way?
Well, that's what I was about to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Grudek sort of takes a moment and looks like he's stretching. Puts his hands on the small of his back and pops his shoulders and makes a big scene of groaning and stretching from carrying all the corpses around. But while he's doing so over the mental link, he'll quickly relay anything that wasn't passed directly to C, and we'll also say, "See, I think you probably being the most removed, at least physically at this moment, and also because you are at the moment alone in the cairn, and thirdly, as alpha of the pack, does this make sense to you?"
The group of you that are heading to a hostile situation should take Thistle as the spiritual one who is capable of healing power. Grudek, we're going to need wise words soon. You should return to the cairn and bring my blade.
Of course, the only thing that would make me consider going to the city, and it could happen at a later time too, of course, is if we are looking for locations. And this may be part of a trip that we can all take as a group. But if we are looking for locations, I do have a friend who is looking into the places where the sewer workers had disappeared. Obviously, if we find everyone in the building, then fine. We don't need extra information.
I thought this was going to be a quick recon trip, not a suicide jump with only half of our pack.
Is that over the mental link?
Yeah.
Thistle down.
No.
Shadow bristles visibly in the area and turns to stare down Thistle.
Out loud.
Thistle is just glaring right back.
Out loud, Grudek will say, he'll move into a stretch and go, "Okay, I think all of us have had a very long day. Maybe we need to think about things as a group. And remember that someone who's not here with us probably also needs to be consulted on all major issues too." So
I'll do what it. Yeah. So psychic. I have no problem with the pack leader's decision, or if he wishes to change it, that decision. And I generally agree that if we're going past a dangerous area, it's probably useful to have the healer there.
what if you all keep moving and just roll on through? No stopping, no getting out, no matter what.
I agree. That would be a good plan.
Shadow?
That was the plan.
Okay.
As
Then
I
we're all
expressed
agreed.
it.
Then we're all agreed. And out in the physical space, Grudek smiles very broadly at everyone and says out loud, "It's so good when we all come together, even for such sad moments as this."
Before we split up to go our separate ways, says Silverglare, I would like to speak with just the four of you. Is it all right? Morning Cloud and I'm sorry, Tina, is it? Could you wait for just a moment while I speak with the Sept members about Sept business? Is that all right? And you stay with your cousin, if you would, Morning Cloud, please. And Morning Cloud just sort of nods. She still looks a little bit just numb. C's mom seems to be handling this a lot better than she is. And she, C's mom sort of puts her arm around Morning Cloud and kind of finds her a semi-comfortable place to sit while Silver Glare takes the four of you off a little bit of a distance where you're not audible by the other two. And she says, all right, since some of you are going back to the Sept with me. I want to tell you what this looks like to me right now. Obviously, we're at a place where we're going to need to start talking about cairn defense or possibly going on the attack. But the problem is that without knowing who our weak link is, it's a little bit difficult to make a plan, because we can't make a plan that includes someone who's going to give us away to the enemy, etc. So I am a bit at a loss of what to do here.
Are the others further away?
Yeah,
The other two? The
Yeah,
other
she's
two?
with just the four of you, and
specifying. Are they out of earshot?
yes, as I said, she
that
took
was
you
what was
far away.
specifically
Yeah,
said.
Yes. And I
Yep, okay.
wanted to clarify before
Yes,
I said anything.
absolutely out of earshot.
Okay.
She was definitely not going to say that with anyone
Yeah.
over
Did
here.
you know Morning Cloud had a child?
What? No.
Whoever our weak link is, did. That needs to be ascertained.
Well,
Now, I haven't heard anything about this. This is, what does that,
I just
how
thumb
does that fit in?
I just thumb back
Be-
towards the destroyed village.
be that as it may, Silverglare. Here's
I don't
what
understand
we've
how that fits in, but
here's what we've managed to suss out thus far. Morning Cloud, likely not the traitor, because the traitor's blackmailing her in order to get what they need. March Lion, likely not the traitor, because March Lion's already in possession of the knowledge that the traitor's looking to access themselves.
all right.
So we can pretty much count the two of them out as the actual movers and shakers here.
We can also
Other than
count-
that, Thistle?
we can also be fairly confident that anyone else that was seriously considered for March Lion's position and turned down on their own is an unlikely
All
to
right.
be traitor.
Well, I think
Um,
that narrows things down.
Well, while that's being
on
said,
top of that, there's a. Sorry.
I just want to roll to gauge her surprise before we get too far away from it, whether it was genuine or not.
Okay, that'd be perception and empathy, I guess. Difficulty 6.
Okay.
On top of that, the most likely people to be aware of a pregnancy, not able to move and speak on a phone entirely freely without suspicion and or leave the cairn all the time. And someone, so as much as I hate to say it, I understand that I am the one who can. The children of Gaia are the most suspicious. We tend to be predisposed to being healers. If Morning Cloud was unrelatedly checked out, I am not an expert, obviously. I'm fairly new, but noticing a pregnancy, we're also pretty automatically disqualified for Uktena-only positions.
Interesting. And
it's quite likely that
also
any of the
she definitely was sincerely surprised and baffled. Also, seemed not to even understand how that would connect to everything else.
Aaron has a lore clarification because this was in one of the books, and I'm not sure if it's accurate to like the setting as we are understanding it. Isn't one of the third level Children of Gaia spells essentially sense pregnancy?
I don't know about that actually.
Okay.
Because if
it's not specifically relevant, I probably am kind of misremembering it anyway, so ignore me.
Well, if there is such a thing, the GM was unaware of it, so you can count it out for story purposes.
Sorry.
No, that's just my ignorance there. My apologies.
I want to know about that campaign where somebody's like, I gotta take this one.
I need to know everybody who's.
So
It's
Silver Glare.
werewolves.
So Silver Glare considers what you all are saying and then says, well, let's sort of cross-reference this with my thinking, which is that my thought is that anyone who was here for that attack that I was not here for 10 or 11 years ago, I feel should probably be eliminated, because I can't see anyone fighting that hard and risking their lives to protect the cairn only to then turn around and try to destroy it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So my suspicions fall on the newer folk, myself included, which means that I can't discount anyone in my pack, including Tea Tree. I feel that it almost certainly would have to be someone who came after that first attack, because everyone who was here before the attack, they are all people who were wounded and risked death trying to fight off whatever was attacking the cairn. So all of the older folk I am much less suspicious of than the ones that have come since then. And that's my take on it.
I'd say that checks out fairly clear with the sort of line of thinking that we've been coming along here.
Because I mean, I don't know anything for sure, of course, but my heart tells me that none of the people that were here 11 years ago have anything but utmost loyalty to the cairn, because they've all risked their lives for it.
So as far as things proceeding forward go, I think what Shadow was thinking here is we need to get eyes on wherever their vehicle's gone, just so we can at least attempt to narrow down the location on where the enemy's bedding down, at least for the time being. We can swing through and see if the Mills Hotel is still their base of operations, and if we can put eyes on the van at that point, that'll at least give us a pathway. And then we need to get back to the cairn to figure out what's transpired in our absence and hopefully get an idea of where we're going to go next, and if anything else has cropped up in the meantime that might narrow down our hunting path.
Whoever I take with me back to the cairn is going to have a difficult... That's Thistle and Morning Cloud, right? Was anyone else coming back with me?
Oh, actually, I apologize. I think we may be switching. I think Thistle, her eyes are a little better than mine, you know. So I think she would be better served to go with the others.
Their eyes.
Their eyes are a little better than mine, you know. So it would be better if I went with you back, and if Thistle went with the others to.
All right.
Man.
Well, whoever comes back with me is going to have to be careful, because I know that Tim is impatient to start planning some sort of defense. And the thing is, I haven't told him yet my suspicions that someone is working against us. First of all, because I can't officially count him out, though he's old enough that I don't suspect him, but I can't officially count him out yet. And also, he's a brave and good-hearted man, but he's a little on the slow side, and I'm afraid that giving him information this sensitive, he's not going to know how to do the cloak and dagger, keeping things from the right people. I just don't want to put that on him. He's pushing 70.
On the Arun side.
A little bit, and pushing 70, and I don't think he was ever...
Oh, and there is definitely, like, full-on shade.
By the way, none of you have to make a roll for this. Ty, Grudek, and Thistle, and probably Silverglare too, can tell that Shadow is brimming with rage right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, Thistle is...
And pointedly, every time every time someone has referred to C as the Alpha, he has bristled. Because we're currently in combat conditions.
That's debatable.
Yeah, and Thistle is clearly not necessarily uncomfortable, but just flat out not having it.
But there's also been no official challenge or anything.
No,
so
no, neither of us are in charge.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there's just
By-
going
just-
back and forth.
I'm
like,
just
no, you
inserting
don't
that
get
by
to fucking
Guru
boss me
lore,
around.
but by Guru lore, to the extent that the five of you understand it, C is still in charge until officially
no.
challenged.
He is
and-
the
yeah,
alpha.
So just FYI.
I know.
He's
I know.
the alpha.
That-
He is also.
But that
the
doesn't mean, of
technical.
course, right. And that doesn't mean, of course, that people won't react differently because you
Yes.
are all
that is
new to this in character. Like, you don't
Yes.
have necessarily all the Guru lore, like, just,
all
you know.
new to this, and kind of inherently counterculture.
Right, right.
Pro-counter.
I mean,
right.
Grudek was intentionally trying to throw that reminder in about the fact that
Yeah,
the fight is
Because
over.
Grudek's probably
We're back in
the
planning
closest
stages
you guys
now.
have to, like,
and,
an old
and
traditional.
and that's fine. Shadow is very clearly still in battle mode.
Yeah,
Shadow
but
is assuming that he has the authority to take alpha position, and we understand what is being expressed.
And also
Grudek goes over to Shadow in Krynos form and goes, "Hey there, big guy. Sun's getting real low."
The moon is out.
Just from a
The moon
you know,
is
from
out,
like
Grudek.
from a mechanic standpoint, Shadow's probably literally full of rage right now.
He
too,
is.
because
I'm also literally full of rage.
really fun time.
But back to the conversation. Grudek does want to say two things to Silverglare. First, I definitely want to say absolutely. I think all of us are on board that we can't rule out anyone, even with the excellent logic that's been put into play. So I absolutely agree. We may not want to share that information, but there has been an attack on a group of Guru and kinfolk in the area. I think even without the additional suspicions, that's more than enough to get everyone on alert and start working without arousing suspicions as to any additional knowledge. Second, this is long shot, but do you have any fetish, something similar to cell phone we found during Rite of Passage, something that could be easily tracked by other spirits, that if the van could be located, could be placed in it?
Not on me. I don't have anything like that. I'm sorry. That's a good idea, though. But I'm just...
Anyone got a spare iPhone?
Right, Thistle can do that.
I don't.
Like...
No.
You say track something via spirits, and sure, that's fine, but there's also such a thing as the non-spirit version of tracking stuff, at least for...
That's true, and I do have a phone, but I don't have a spare one. It is my only phone.
Were there any
is that
phones
something that we could stop? Is that something we could stop by and find somewhere that would just sell us one on the way?
Not at this hour of the night. It's it's probably
at this hour of the night. It's going to be a little tough to get one that we can accurately track, as put in lost, but accurately track.
I can get another phone, so I'm going to give you my phone.
We're not stopping, Grudek.
Right. I'm going to give you my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you, Thistle, you're going in the city, right? So I'm going to give her my phone, and dispose of it as you will. I can always get another phone. I don't know how much time we have to find these fuckers, so we'll do whatever it takes. So Thistle, she reaches into her purse and pulls out her phone, hands it to Thistle. Use this as a tracker if you need to. If not, please bring it back.
Will do.
She hands it to Thistle.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll go about the process of essentially syncing them so I can use the essentially lost phone app from my phone.
Yep. There's coverage out here. It's not great, but
again,
it's not Mirrorwoods.
We're not stopping, so it's unlikely we'll actually do anything with this, and I promise I'll take off the tracking stuff.
Well, you have it if you need it. Let it never be said that I didn't make sacrifices for the cause. All right, so who's with me? Grudek, you're with me?
Yes.
All right, the rest of you, be safe.
And he'll reach out to the rest of you, and say, I can't say it better than that. Be safe, please. No heroics, I can't sing a song about you if I'm not there to see it.
So at this point, Grudek has multiple times, like, floated versions of the plan that would involve stopping in the city, either to talk to a contact or to put something in the car. So Thistle is a little suspicious how sincere he is.
About being safe or about another element?
Well, about being safe, but also just in general, it's like, you're trying to make us go against the smart plan, and maybe it's entirely good-natured, but right now...
This
we're
is sort
dealing
of the
with
point,
traitor
where paranoia probably starts to...
Well,
I mean, everyone's...
it's paranoia, but it's
Sure,
also
blame the
genre
natives.
savviness of who would be the most tragic person
Exactly,
to
right.
be betraying us. Probably the Papa Bear figure.
It is the most tragic story-wise, isn't it? So yeah, I can see Wiser Mind would go there.
Can I get an
Interesting.
empathy on that or anything?
Yeah, sure. So you're trying to gauge just like sincerity in general?
Sincerity, that kind of thing, yeah.
And like trustworthiness and stuff. Okay, so do perception, empathy. I'm gonna say difficulty 7.
I'm obviously completely innocent, but purely for gameplay reasons. Shouldn't this be an opposed roll?
I think it's based on your willpower, actually. From a mechanics perspective.
I have some difficulty with that because willpower is always extremely low to the point where it's like not even much point in rolling.
I think it's supposed to be it's either 3 or 4 plus your willpower, I think, is the base difficulty.
I was gonna say, yeah, the difficulty is based on your willpower.
So that's if someone is intentionally. So we're assuming this is a roll.
No, I don't think that's true. I think that's how World of Darkness allows you to bluff, is that it's the same regardless of if you're lying or not.
Right. Okay.
There are definitely insight rules.
Well, those who have a little bit more experience with this system, I'll let you decide how the roll is set up, because this particular type of roll I haven't done before. So
it's also probably technically what's an empathy for that.
Yeah, as far as that goes, there's a number of different ways you can do it, but I would say if you want to keep it simple, Michelle, just make it a flat difficulty of whatever you judge, and we can dig into the mechanics at a later point if we need to find something a little more.
That's fair, just to keep
detailed.
it moving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, I was going to say difficulty 7, just because if Grudek were attempting to hide something, he would be a little more difficult than your standard difficulty. Okay. So you don't notice anything particularly shady about his behavior that you can pick up on. You do get a faint sense that he's not 100% forthcoming about everything, but it doesn't seem like in a dangerous way. Just sort of like he seems like maybe he's
everyone in this group. He's got something else going on.
Yeah, I mean, like he's got some things that are just sort of private, but you don't feel like he's scheming or plotting or anything. But like there might be some things he's just keeping private and not talking about. So that's what you pick up with your 2 successes.
Okay.
All right. But yeah,
Michelle, I'm going to send you something in Roll20 chat.
Okay.
And as far as that goes, but yeah, if we've sort of decided the split up, Tig is gonna kind of give Silver Glare a nod and then start heading back towards the van, and also to check in on C's mom and Morning Cloud. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back towards the vans as well, or towards the cars, and retrieve C's sword to give to Grudek, since Grudek is going back with Silver Glare.
Okay. So, okay. So Morning Cloud and Tina are just waiting off by the fence. But yeah. Okay. So Silver Glare heads over toward them because she's driving them back to the Sept. So she heads over with Grudek, and the rest of you are going toward C's SUV, right?
Yep.
Tag is going to pull Grudek aside before we split up, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
What form is Grudek in right now?
He's back in human form. When they were coming out into the parking lot, he shifted.
And
All right.
I can't remember how to do GM whispers.
You just do
/W.
/W and then the name and then the thing.
Yeah.
Do a
As
test.
you start
Just so you
typing
know.
the name, it will likely show up. So if you type Aaron, you'll likely get a full thing that says Aaron.
Okay.
Do a test
So,
whisper to see you get it.
Tag will pull Grudek aside. Hi there, Papa Bear. Come here. Bit of a chat we need to have.
Of course. Yeah. Are you doing okay? It was rough in there.
Aye, yes, it was. A bit more morbid than most of the shites we've had to deal with so far, and that's saying something considering what we found in that basement. And he puts his hands on Grudek's shoulders and just looks him dead in the eyes. So he's gonna need your backup, right? And I know you know what you're getting into, but he's gonna need that silver tongue of yours, lad. All right? So remember, we're boots on the ground right now. But you're going into the hornet's nest. So you need anything, you shout first, yeah?
Grudek smiles and actually looks a little bit touched and says, I appreciate it, Tyke. Don't worry. I'll do you proud.
And he claps a hand on the back of Grudek's neck and pulls him down forehead to forehead and just looks him dead in the eyes. Y'all are part of my family. I don't leave my family out in the cold.
Grudek reaches up with his hand and echoes the same gesture, and he says, I know. I appreciate it. I know people think things about the Metis, about the Bone Gnawers, but we know family. And it's good to have one here. It feels like home for the first time in a long time. We'll keep it that way. You be safe, too.
All right, but you give the rat bastards hell. You hear me?
Well, rat is always pejorative term. I don't like it used that way, but I take it in the meaning it was meant. And he
As the Theurge
winks at you.
Isn't there, but spiritually gives you a sidelong glance of, dude.
And Ty gives you a very wide grin in that he knew exactly what he was saying, and he phrased it that way directly on purpose.
And to be clear, Grudek finds it funny. He's not offended at all.
Right. Right. And he gives you a grin and a wink and heads off towards his own vehicle.
But before Tyg turns away, Grudek says, and same thing. You keep the temperature frosty in car, okay? I seen some things. I don't think I like where it's going, so.
Oh, the thermostat's a little on the hot side, but I'll do what I can.
Shadow's just radiating heat right now.
I can always just, lift a back leg and piss all over it if I need to.
Let's hope for many, many reasons it doesn't come to that, although I would enjoy you explaining to see what happened to his car.
Okay, so just
I lifted a leg and then all of a sudden I was across the street. I don't know what happened. There was a door next to me in half the car.
I was picking part of a newspaper stand out of my teeth.
Sorry,
a little bit of logistical stuff. Okay, so those of you that are heading straight back to the cairn, you'll be there you'll be at the parking lot in about 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2.5 hours, something like that. So around midnight or shortly before midnight, you'll be in the parking lot of the Muirwoods, park thingy. The rest of you, where are you headed first? From what's your first?
We're taking C's mom with us, right?
Yeah, Well, it depends on if there's an on the way, and Thistle's a local, so they can likely map that route without too much difficulty. But we are heading to C's place and to drive by the area where the
to drive through the neighborhood that the Mills Hotel is at.
And funny enough, I'm the one who's driving, so Thistle's not consulting on that.
I like how you think that you driving means Shadow won't try to do something.
I don't think that.
C's mom lives sort of on the way, so you would be dropping her off first.
Before they leave, Grudek just wants to say goodbye to C's mom.
Okay.
And just tell her that she should be very proud of her son.
Aww.
And I did give C's sword.
She gives Grudek a great big hug.
Okay. He gives it back and he says, "Don't worry. I'll look after Morning Cloud and everyone else."
Thank you.
Thistle will say to Grudek, I won't say delay or anything because this is important and that's not necessarily a good idea. But in terms of Tim's a little Arun, impulsive, angry. So, I mean, I may be able to moderate him if I get there soon enough.
Yes, I can tell how good you are at talking and keeping Arun calm.
I wouldn't say keep them calm. I would say I don't buy into the angriest person gets to win thing.
Grudek just nods and he says, "Don't worry. We have Arun, believe it or not, in all tribe. We have all auspices in all tribes.
You also have all genders in all tribes, does Hibbs, and that's actually more salient here. And Thistle will walk away. Like,
that Grudek is not a guy who needs to have the last word, so he's cool with that.
Yeah. Like,
okay, so C's mom's house be probably about an hour and a half drive, and then from there to the area where the Mills Hotel is would be another, let's see, probably just like another 20-30 minutes, probably 20 because it's middle of the night. It's not like there's gonna be a ton of traffic, so you will probably get to that area of town before the others actually get to the Cairn grounds, because once they get to the parking lot in 2.5 hours, then they've got to walk an hour back to the Cairn. So so we'll start with the group that's going to the city. I assume we can say that C's mom gets dropped off without any major incident, unless any of you want to talk to her about anything before she leaves the car.
Don't think so.
Okay, so that means that the next thing we'll need to address is what you do once you drop her off. So then it is just Thistle driving, right? And then Tig and Shadow in the car. Is there anyone else in the car at that point?
I think it was just the three of us.
unless, what's her name? Morning Cloud.
Morning Cloud went back with
Okay.
Silver.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't specifically say it, but Grudek got the C's sword.
Yeah, I said that I gave it to you. So.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, Tig
so-
will just be keeping an eye out and trying to look for the van.
Me too.
Okay. So, and where's Thistle going to be driving once Tina's safely back at home? Straight back to the hotel, or just anywhere else?
Yeah, Thistle will drive. Yeah, Thistle will drive essentially by the hotel, maybe making a circle around to essentially case the parking lot. But I'm not sticking around in the area. I'm not going to circle like 5 or 8 times.
Okay. Everybody roll everybody who's in Thistle's car, roll perception and alertness, difficulty 8.
1 success.
Okay.
I do not have one set up for this. You said difficulty 8 on that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
1 success.
Okay. Anybody else rolling?
I am 1 success as well.
One.
Bell got 1.
Okay.
1.
So you drive around the area and you do not spot any familiar vehicles in the area.
Okay.
They didn't return here, which means we don't know where they're at.
Well, or they park the vehicle somewhere else and they're all back down in their
They don't
little
strike me
tunnel
as,
maze.
they don't strike me as the subtle type, though that still is a possibility. Well, I should return to the cairn then.
All right. So the first group gets back to the cairn first at around 1:45. And C, you have not observed anything in the meantime that's too alarming, except for Tim like just progressively losing his shit more and more because his worm foe is gone and he can't make any plans, and so he's just sort of pacing around like, you know, where is she? Where is she?
I don't
We
know.
gotta get moving on this.
I don't know where it falls along the timeline, but I will pass the information on to C and Grudak that the van's not at the Mills Hotel, so we cannot
Okay.
we cannot confirm that they are there.
They probably get that like around the time they hit the parking lot or so.
Okay.
And then you guys start heading back as well. Let's see how long it'll take you.
At this point, C's just kind of sitting on the edge of that rock in the middle of the circle, like not perched on it like Marshland would normally be, just kind of sitting on the very edge of it, just kind of elbows on his knees, just fists clenched under his chin as he's just kind of waiting.
Okay. And you guys are set to arrive back at the cairn about an hour and a half after the first group. So they'll get there close to 1. You'll be there like 2:30 or so.
How is Morning Cloud on the drive?
Zombie, basically. I mean, if someone tries to talk to her, she'll respond, but if not, she's just kind of in her own staring out the window, vacant look.
Grudak will, I think, do a couple little verbal sorties and try to figure out what if any conversation would be helpful to her at this point. If she seems amenable to maybe having her mind taken off things, he'll tell some of the the stupidest stories he knows. Some of the maybe about the is it the Nuisha, the coyote people that and things like that. So he'll just anything really ridiculous and not having anything to do with bone gnawers, not having anything to do with children, not having anything to do with black spirals.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of the silliest stuff he knows.
She gives him polite attention, But
well, then he'll stop. I mean, he's just trying to see if he can take her mind off
right.
things. So
yeah, he'll notice that when he first tries to engage her, that she, you know, politely attends to him in a way that she wouldn't have even bothered to before, but that she doesn't seem to quite engage with it. Like her mind is just somewhere else. Her eyeballs are pointed at him, but she's just not even really hearing what he's saying. She's deep in like trauma land. But she at least does make the effort of trying to appear attentive, which she would not have done before this. She would have just ignored him completely.
I mean, he'll stop relatively. He'll find a non-awkward point. He's not going to just stop talking in the middle when she's not paying attention. He'll find a non-awkward point in the telling to stop, and then go back, I guess, in silence for the rest of the way. But when they get back before we reach the cairn itself, he'll turn her and just quietly say, "I know when we go in, I know there's going to be a lot happening. But if you need to talk or just to not talk for a while, either way, you know where I am. Let me know if I can help."
I think I'll just go to my tent for a while.
Okay.
Thank
and if
you.
she'll let him, he'll give her another hug.
Okay, yeah, she does. And she clings like a little bit longer than is polite, but then she lets him go and heads toward the cairn. And once she gets there, she's going to make a beeline for her tent and just disappear in there for a while.
Grudek will not act significantly differently while they're back in the cairn, because he doesn't want to draw anybody's attention to the fact that she's had a change of mind or change of heart to him.
Okay. Once Grudek shows up and is visible, he's pretty easy to see. Even in the dark, he kind of glows. Tim basically makes a beeline for him and is like, "Where's Thistle? Is he with you?"
She had one other errand to take care of with the rest of our pack, but she will be back very soon.
All right. Okay.
She is fine, Tim.
All right. Okay, and Silver Glare is with you, or?
I guess. What order did we come in?
She's like, "Tim, you."
She's right there. I assume.
All right. You and I need to powwow. Come on over here. Come on, let's go head over to the theater and talk. So he drags Silver Glare off, and is waving his hands frantically and talking to her as they wander off.
I'll try to catch Silver Glare's eye. All right. I mean, I don't think he'd be particularly subtle about it. He'll just turn to Silver Glare and say, "Do you want I should come with you?"
If you want, yeah. I mean, and see too. Anybody who's been involved in all of this Black Spiral stuff should probably come with us.
Oh, I'm sure she will find his way down, and then over the totem. See, amphitheater. Come, we're back. Can you meet us there?
He's kind of, without saying anything on the link, just because I'm pretty certain I'm actually visible from where you guys are at, having just crossed the cliff.
Probably, yeah.
So I just kind of stand and start walking towards the amphitheater.
Okay.
So Tim just plops himself down on one of the little benches, where the audience normally sits for rites and whatnot. And he says, "All right, we need to make a plan, and we need to decide whether we're prioritizing defense or offense. So any ideas? I'm ready to hear them from anybody."
Grudek,
I can't make any final decisions until I talk to my offspring, but
Grudek, he kind of holds up his hand for the sword.
Grudek probably very happily handed it to you as soon as you fell into step nearby.
Okay.
Just kind of not a sword person.
It's kind of sitting down and laying the blade in its sheath across his lap. He just kind of. We know their goal. Their goal, he points across from the amphitheater, is in that circle of redwoods. We can't let them have it under any circumstances.
Okay, but do we know that? Says Tim. Like, how do we know they even know about the thing?
Grudik hides a little bit of a wince.
I mean, because just because they're attacking a cairn doesn't mean that they know
Tim,
all of its secrets, right? I
Tim,
mean, black spirals
were they-
attack cairns because they're cairns.
what were they what happened 11 years ago?
That was Pentex. That was
Who do Pentex and the Black Spirals all work under?
well, yeah, I mean, the worm has agents everywhere, but that doesn't mean that the left hand always knows what the right hand is doing. The worm is we're constantly under assault from the worm, all different facets of it. But they're not, the worm is not like the CEO of some big company where he's got like all his departments and they're all working together in some organized fashion. The worm is chaos. Basically, anybody that wants destruction and death and pollution and misery, they're all agents of the worm in some form or the other, but some of them don't even know each other. You know, they don't all know each other.
The thing that would cause the most chaos in this cairn is if what is beneath those redwoods got out.
Yeah, absolutely. So a very smart and well-informed agent of the worm, such as Bright Horizon Tours, for example, 11 years ago, would be systematically trying to get at, all of our deepest held secrets because they had someone on the inside with us leaking information to them. That person is now dead. Bright Horizon is history. The Glasswalkers dismantled it not only financially but physically. They tracked down every last person that could be connected to that branch of Pentex and slaughtered them.
Tell us again who the leak was 11 years ago.
That was a Get of Fenris. I can't even remember his name because I'm old and it was 11 years ago. Anyway, he's not with us anymore.
I
hope you all can still see me. My screen just went dark.
Yeah, we can see
You
you.
can hear
Yeah,
me.
I can see you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I can see you, and that's what's important.
So I sort of
I'm sorry.
I look at Silverglare and I just have this questioning look like this isn't going to go anywhere unless we tell him something. Can we?
Silverglare just kind of shrugs, like she kind of looks at you like she wishes she had a mental link.
Does he doesn't know about the slaughter though at the camp?
He does.
Tim knows. Yeah, Tim knows about
Now
that.
you've locked up,
Yeah,
Grudik, and I
think
think we've
just
lost you.
Grudik.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yes,
there you go.
You're back.
I can hear
Tim
everybody.
absolutely explicitly knows he's
Oh.
one of the clan
Yeah.
elders. March Lion told him.
Yeah, all three of the elders know that.
Okay.
That's why
Guitars
Tim's
are
freaking out.
quite- Yeah,
My
that's why
screen
he's
is
like,
back on.
lost
Everything's
his mind.
good, so I can hear and see everybody again.
Good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Excellent.
Okay. So
Like what happened 11 years ago was awful, but it's history and we took care of it and the Glasswalkers took care of it. This is its own thing. This is, as far as I can tell, there was just a pack of young black spirals sniffing around here because they know there's a cairn here, and they've obviously lost their minds and
Tim,
they're committing random acts of violence and may very well attack
Tim,
here.
Okay. Good plans can't be made without clarity of information. Wormfoe, would you like to enlighten?
So just because C would know because it was like last week or not even, I just want to remind William of something that we have evidence unrelated to the idea that there's a traitor within the cairn that has actually been shared with Tim before, that those specific black spiral pups were working for someone or under specific orders.
Yeah, but I feel like C feels like that's just going to get another deflecting response. He needs to drop something large enough that Tim will stop and listen to it. So he kind of asks Silverglare, Wormfoe, would you like to enlighten, or shall I?
Tim immediately turns and looks at Silverglare like, this sort of et tu, Brute look, like, have you been keeping something from me? And Silverglare, for a moment, turns her namesake glare right at C, like, thanks a lot, buddy.
So C gives her a look like, I'll talk if you don't. What? If you don't want me to, I'll talk.
Grudek immediately starts talking as this is going on. Grudek immediately steps up and says, Tim, apologies. We had very lengthy conversation just now in car. Silverglare has been informed, and if there is any to be blamed, it is us. Please blame our youthful inexperience and our caution. As you're aware, many of us are new to the Sept. Some of us are new to the country. We are attempting to find our way and how to best aid the Western Eye here, but during our rite of passage, we in our pack determined that there may have been more occurring, and he's kind of glancing at Silverglare like, is this okay? Is you gonna be?
Silverglare just sort of looks like, it's out of my hands at this point. She just has this look like,
okay,
and you've opened the can of worms, so you figure out where you're going from here. I can't help you.
And then another glance at C, like, are we opening this up?
C kind of sighs. Secrets are going to get us killed. If we are not acting as one, we will die.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not big on secrets, says Tim. Like, I'm no Ragabash. So, sorry. Well, actually, no, he says it out loud anyway, because he knows there's something being discussed that he doesn't know yet. So he says out loud, look, I'm not big on secrets, okay? I'm no Ragabash. My job is defense of the cairn. I'm a simple guy. I like things straightforward. So if there's discussions being had about things that concern the defense of the cairn warder needs to be the first person you go to with them. I don't understand why this is in question. So whatever it is, out with it.
The reason, Elder, is we believe that history is repeating itself. We believe there is, again, another who would work against the interest of the cairn, who would work for their own reasons to bring in corrupting influences here, to the heart of the woods, to the heart of the Western Eye. And we would not make these allegations lightly, but there have been threats made against members of this sept so that an influence can be held over them.
What sort of threats?
Does he seem what is his reaction? I'm going to be trying to gauge his reaction to pretty much everything we say at this point.
At this point he just seems very impatient, like, let's just get the facts out here because I don't have any idea what the heck's going on. So he's just like very intent and like a little impatient, like spit it out. Is kind of his vibe.
The child of a member of the sept has been taken, and the safety of that child is being used as leverage against that person.
Which child?
Are there any members of the sept that you know of that have children not living here?
A few, yeah, a couple. Lindsay's other kid is in high school. Yeah, I mean, not all the kids live here.
Grudek takes a deep breath, and while he's doing so, will sort of a big theatrical breath, which probably is not that uncommon to anyone who's known him for a little while. But while he's doing so, he says over the totem link to the others, "This is it. Should we tell Tim?"
Secrecy has been valuable up until this point. At this point, it is becoming a detriment. Everything needs to go to the open, at least with the elders now.
Does anybody else chime in?
Thistle will. Sounds like you're all ready too late, but I am like half an hour behind you. So, but, you know, if you're halfway through a conversation, finish whatever you're saying.
It wouldn't have waited. He's too impatient.
Yeah.
You can't do it without arousing further suspicion. The last thing we need is for people to question our motives if we are bringing this information forward.
Do what you do, Big Papa. Just make sure there's a whiskey for me when I get back there.
Vodka, okay? And then without waiting
I'll take what fucking ever.
Without waiting for a response, he finishes his big breath and says, Morning Cloud has a child that has been taken. And then he just stares intently to see what the reaction is.
Tim just looks down at the ground for a long time. And he's sort of back in that slow, thoughtful Tim mode that he sometimes gets into, where you can almost see the gears trying to turn in his head.
And C just kind of exhales, like, okay, we've got thought going. We've gone off the warpath. We're going back to it in a minute.
That's not necessary.
We're going back to it in a minute, but right now.
Three successes.
Tim is off the warpath. Let's be clear.
For what?
to evaluate his reaction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he doesn't sound surprised.
He hasn't said anything yet, but he definitely doesn't look surprised. He looks like he's just trying to figure out what to say.
Did you know?
March Lion told us last year, me and Tea Tree, about the Metis down there. But you're sure the kid's still alive? I assumed when I heard that they'd all been slaughtered, he was down there. I assumed he was gone.
We can't be sure of anything, but he was not among the dead.
So he might have gotten away.
Anything, of course, is possible. And Griddick pauses again. And he is trying to stretch this out a little bit, but I don't think we're going to get 30 minutes out of the conversation. But he says, back home, I was always told that I was pessimist as a child. I think sometimes the world we live in, that's more of a realist, but you're right. It's possible the child could have escaped. But I think we must assume, until there is evidence of the child being safe, that is not the case. I think the child also probably is still alive, because child is much more useful as leverage, if alive than if dead.
Leverage. Something about that word really upsets him. He takes a deep breath. All right. All right. I can't make any solid decisions about defense until I've got everybody here. So I
think, with respect, and this is drawn only from tales that I know, from stories from my own home, from deceptive reclaimed comfort, to create a place of solid defense. That is, of course, an excellent start. I would not presume to lecture you, Elder, on safety or defense of the cairn, but this cairn is solidly defensible as it is. We have methods. When I came from, we have, some would say, a warren. It was created as a refuge for those who had been driven from their own septs back in the Second Great War, when those were fleeing west from the advancing German troops had resettled. We made a new home for kinfolk and for Garu. And yes, there was defense. Yes, it was important, but part of that defense was creating secrecy and creating shadows to hide where we were. That is not possible. The worm knows where we are. Black spirals, they know we are here. Whether it is any who have informed from the tourist group from 11 years ago, whether it is those in the van, the young black spirals who you think are mad and simply seeing what they can see. Either way, they know where we are. Defense can be created here, but just like it was for my sept, just like it was for the Bonors there in Belarus, the importance is to stop the foes, to stop the attacks before they find us here, especially if what they seek is there. And he'll point towards the copse of trees. We need to keep people here for defense, yes, but there may be merit in determining where our foe is hiding, where these forces are coming from, and attempting to seek them out.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's been my instinct all along. My first thought was that we go and we hunt them down. Unless they have got a Bane on their side on the scale of that thing that attacked 11 years ago, which, from what I know of those black spirals, they're just not. It's a bunch of kids. They're not going to. This isn't a whole arm of Pentex coming after us this time. I think that if we can send enough people after them and wipe them out, we stop this from becoming a bigger thing. I think if we hole up here, I think if we hole up here and turtle up, no pun intended, I think that lets those kids run off to whoever their superiors are and tell them all the new stuff they've been learning, which they seem to know quite a bit about our situation. And I don't want them bringing that back to anybody. So I think we should go on the offensive. That's my instinct.
If you hunt them in too large a group, it may bring the full force of the others down on them. Let us go. Let us find them. Send with us who you will, but do not leave the sept undefended. I beg you.
They're kids. They're teenagers. They're bullies. What we do is we give them what they think is an easy target, and we ambush them, and we wipe them out. We draw them out with something that's going to look harmless. We've seen, I mean, they went and slaughtered a bunch of old, crippled, mostly humans down there, 50 of them, just tore them to pieces. And I've never been down there myself, but I've heard reports of what these people are like. They were weak. They want to attack someone who's weak. So we give them something weak to attack, and we come back at them with strength, and we lure them out, and we end them. That's what I think. But I wish Thistle were here. I need to talk to Zur.
Why don't we? How far out are they at this point?
Zero here.
Yeah, they're about like an hour and a half behind you guys. So once you guys have been here for about an hour and a half, they'll be showing up.
But I mean, I guess how long have we been? I mean, only 10, 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's been like 20 minutes or something. So you have some time that you'll need to figure out what to do with before they get there.
Another hour and 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Should we wait until the rest of our pack is here?
Yeah, if you want to just sit tight until everybody else gets here, then I will find something to do with myself. I might actually go on a quick hunt just to kill something.
It has been a while. As often as we are in the woods, it has been a while. Could I come with?
All right. Fine with me.
Krudik will turn and sort of give C a significant look.
Significant how?
I guess more significant over the totem when he says, I don't want him unobserved after getting this information. If I don't come back, you have your target.
I want to hear a howl before I hear you not come back.
Grudek doesn't respond, just sort of grins, and then turns and will go ahead and shift into Lupus.
Hope you don't get tragically murdered by one of my parents.
That's always so awkward.
Are you, is this
Makes
saying
sense
that over
giving
the
a
link?
Very
bitch.
taking that in a tongue-in-cheek, like understanding Tim is absolutely a suspect and of concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grudek will shoot
Screwed
back.
up situation all around.
Grudek will send back. It's okay if it happens. You can still go visit my parents next time you're in Belarus. I promise they won't kill anyone. I'm gonna automatically.
You have no
shift
way of
to
making that.
Rhinos, and then
Tim shifts to Lupus, and in he's got real long, shaggy fur in Lupus form.
It's like a giant golden retriever wolf.
Pretty much, yeah. And he's also just as huge in Lupus form as he is in Hamid form, and just as shaggy. My only missing the ponytail, really, and not quite as balding in this form either, but graying and long, shaggy fur. So he lopes off to go kill some rabbits, pretty uneventfully, just basic wolf hunting maneuvers, which Grudek's probably done some of at this point, but yeah. Tim's clearly the expert on hunting.
Yeah, he'll go and help, and certainly following his lead is the Hunt Alpha.
Yeah.
After the two of them leave, C kind of looks over at Silverglare. We're reaching a point where we're narrowing things down, and secrets, as much as they have a use, at this point we need to make sure everyone's going to be alive.
I don't like how this is looking for Tea Tree, to be honest. And I've known her a long time, and I would trust her with my life, but I can't rule anyone out. And
who else could have known about the child?
Maybe she might have talked to some of the Octena. She certainly wouldn't have told anyone on our side. I didn't know. But she's probably closer with her tribe than she is with the rest of us. She used to be in a pack with Colmillo, and she's not anymore, but she was at the time. He might know. But
I think
at
this point, we need to try and rule out Tea Tree. And if we can't, that speaks of a greater issue.
So how do we rule her out? I would love to rule her out, because we've been friends for a long, long time.
Is any of this getting transmitted over the link?
That sentence, probably yes.
We need to rule Tea Tree out?
Yeah. And if we can't rule Tea Tree out, then we have a bigger problem.
Wait for me to get back, then. I'll do it for you.
Tyke has a plan.
Oh?
I sent over the message, do you have a plan?
I just look at Tig from the passenger seat like, do you?
Let me get this straight. C said out loud, Tig has a plan, and then
asked over the mental link, do you have a plan?
But Silverglare looks very reassured when she hears that Tig has a plan.
Of course I got a fucking plan. What do you take me for, lad?
If anyone can figure this out...
In the car,
Tig
you don't have
Thing
a
about
plan,
secrets,
do you?
thing about secrets. Maybe we should let the Ragabash handle it. Crystal actually says that out loud or over the link.
I look back at Tig in the car. You don't have a plan, do you?
And then he gives you a wink. Make sure, see, if you want to lay a bit of groundwork for me before I get back, just make sure see if anybody can get eyes on Bailey, Estrella, or Hannah.
You know where the groundskeepers are? Estrella.
Bailey and Hannah have gone home. They live in the city, so and it's 1:30 a.m. or something at this point, so they are not here. But Estrella lives at the campground, so she's just like snoozing in a tent somewhere.
I relay that.
Ty, once this is over, we're gonna talk a little bit about power dynamics and consent issues.
Also, I think this.
You say those words, I've got no idea what you're fucking talking about there, Thistle.
Yeah, that is exactly why we need to talk about it. However, we're going to prioritize saving the cairn.
Also, I think this
Fair.
may be the
First, then
first
educate
time. This may be the first time in Garou history where someone has actually been excited or optimistic when a Ragabash announces that they have a plan.
Well, Silverglare might be a little biased when it comes to Tig. Tribal loyalties run deep.
Tag's a little biased when it comes to Silverglare as well, so.
All right, so anything else before the others catch up with you? Anything else you're going to do before you reunite?
Me, personally, I think at this point, just keep an eye on... At this point, it's anyone not of the Uktana, because they're the only ones who wouldn't need to do this to learn what March Lion knows.
Unless it's one of the youngest Uktana and they're on a timetable. But we don't have any evidence that there's that these people are operating with a specific timetable.
No.
Actually, well, I'm sorry, I should do that in character, but wasn't that the reason though that Morning Cloud was to become Keeper of the Rites? Because up until now, Lion was the only one who knew the specifics of the rites.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they wanted. That's why they
Cloud
wanted
had
Morning
been
Cloud.
saying no.
Yeah, that's why they wanted Morning Cloud, is because Morning Cloud could learn for them, which implies that they're not a Uktana, because a Uktana could just say, "I'll take the job."
I don't know that I agree with that. I think there are other Uktana who perhaps would have wanted the job, but they would not have been chosen. Of course, we know that Uktana would be chosen over other tribes, but within the Uktana, I don't know that that all of them within the scepter would have been judged equally worthy.
Generally, there's like 7 Uktana who are Garou. No offense, C. Let's talk specifically.
As the game master reaches for her sept chart.
There's Tea Tree. There's what's my friend's name?
Brushfire.
Brushfire.
There's Brushfire. There's Tea Tree. There's
Tea Tree is Children of Gaia.
more. Oh, yes, that is correct. Sorry, Tea Tree.
That's why Tea Tree is a prime suspect right now.
Yeah. There's Brushfire. There's March Lion, who we've already discounted and would be kind of redundant in all of the evidence we have. There's
Hot Eye. Isn't Hot Eye Uktana?
Yeah,
Yep.
Hot Eye.
There's
He's
Hot
the
Eye.
gatekeeper.
There's the Master of the Right, whose name I am blanking on because
You mean the Caller of the Wild? Probably. You probably mean Caller of the Wild because I always get those two mixed up too. You mean Alma? Wait, no.
Brushfire's Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild, right. Tail Singer, Alma.
Yes.
Alma. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I can't find my chart. I'll have to look at the rough draft one I made.
C is already fucking us over totally if you are doing this, so we're fucked if it's C, so, let's just assume that we're not.
And then Colmillo is one of he's the leader of the Guardian Pack. He's also Uktana. Also March Lion's son. They're all pretty much March Lion's kids, except for Morning.
I've asked a few times, and no one's really been able to come up with an answer in the pack or outside of it, if any of them have had an interest in that leadership role and either been accepted or turned down. From what it is okay for us to be told, and see if you have other thoughts about this, it's okay if you can't tell us, but if you can, that'd be awesome. There isn't a specific Oh fuck! I'm thinking the word domain. What's the Garou word for
Auspice?
There isn't a specific auspice requirement.
It's almost always a theurge, although
there is a specific auspice requirement, other than that they don't have any theurges.
yeah. So normally the Master of the Rite is a theurge, but there aren't any Octena theurgers in Sept, and Marsh Lion's a Galliard, etc., etc. Just a reminder. And then just another fact that you know thus far that I'm reminding you of. The only person you know for sure that was even approached about the job was Morning Cloud, and she said no. And you have not, at this point, been told anybody else was under consideration or etc.
No, though we did specifically speculate about this a bit based on their existing rankings compared to Morning Cloud's.
The only fact you know for sure are the one about Morning Cloud. No.
Yes, we were saying that Hot Eye and Colmeo were of the same rank as Morning Cloud, and Brushfire and Alma were lower, according to the scattered bits of my notes.
Okay.
That are probably horribly inaccurate.
Yeah, Hot Eye is actually fairly high ranking just on account of his age, but he has a fairly low ranking position. He's like in sort of administrative. He's the gatekeeper. Colmeo is rank 2. He's leader of the Guardian Pack on the defense side. Alma
and all the other members of his pack, as I understand, are Children of Gaia, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're all like rank 1 Children of Gaia. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So basically, there's Octena and 3 in admin, in defense, and in the spiritual side. But there are no Children of Gaia.
There are only like 6 Octena Garou at this, not counting C.
Yeah.
Not counting C, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
6.
So at this point, the Octena seem unlikely, but the only people that it could be would be Hot Eye, Alma, or Colmeo. Brushfire is too young to even be part of this.
Yeah, except for that's kind of the... That is the other side of it. Brushfire's young enough that she wasn't... I don't know if she wasn't here, but I don't think she was old enough to have been active.
Was born. Yeah,
she was born, but I don't think she was...
She actually wasn't born yet 11 years ago.
It. Oh.
Yeah, she's
Brushfire is younger than me.
Yeah, she's...
Yeah. She's
how is
roughly
she related to you again, Shadow? Exactly, I forget. She's is she your sister or your niece or what is she?
She would be my sister-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah. C married her sister in wolf marriage.
Or Shadow, but
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Shadow.
So she's like 2 or 3 years old. She didn't exist when the attack happened.
Well, for what it's worth, my if it's not tea tree and Saints preserve us, I'd prefer it wasn't tea tree. My money's on Bridge Runner.
Likely suspects include those who weren't here 11 years ago, but are currently in positions of power that they would rather not, that are not quite the position they want to be in. Brushfire is...
People who could easily use a cell phone and not be suspicious in the cairn.
Yes, people who could easily communicate outside of the cairn.
Which is the one thing I think may...
I feel we should also
provide evidence against Brushfire.
We should also rule out lupus in that case.
I mean, some lupus acclimate more than others.
But not readily and not at a young age.
The other thing that renders Bridgerunner subject to suspicion, he's been openly dissatisfied with his position in Cairn, but also his position being familiar with the children, it seems more likely, although not a certainty, that he would have more opportunities than most to learn either directly or through gossip or careless talk about Morning Cloud's child.
So the two that we should be looking for evidence against being our target, because if we can't find any for either of them, we have a larger issue, are Bridge Runner and Tea Tree.
What else?
Out of character, what is Bridge Runner's job?
He's the den father.
He looks after the kids.
Okay.
This may have to wait until I go back, but don't the Guardians keep track of who comes and goes and when they come and go?
To some extent, they do, says the GM. Just FYI.
If we've already told Tim things I could... What, in terms of fairly definitive, we can be somewhat confident that it is someone who was left to the cairn at some point between when, or some point close but prior to the phone going missing, would have had knowledge of both the operation of the phone and the existence of Morning Cloud's child. And probably given that given the timeline of events, would have had to leave once since then.
Would have had
now
to
that
leave
doesn't
fairly
rule a
close
ton of
to
people out.
would have had to leave fairly close to Morning Cloud changing her mind, because that letter was handwritten and would have had to be delivered.
Yeah, I somehow doubt that one of the worm.
Well, we know.
Yeah, that anyone other than the traitor could have been the one to deliver that letter.
We know for a fact that Bridge Runner had left. Again, not saying that it's certain that it was Bridge Runner, but we do know that Bridge Runner did leave the cairn around that time.
Wasn't Tea Tree also out of the cairn?
Yeah. Like I said,
Yes.
It doesn't eliminate many people because most people have jobs, but anyone we're confident didn't leave is probably a thought.
That's a good idea.
See, kind of like puts a couple things together and said, who not left, but returned to the cairn the morning that Morning Cloud changed her mind? I asked to Silverglare. And Oliver the Link. But he does say it out loud to Silverglare.
All right, so I think we need to take like a little break here, but you can continue mulling this over on the break, and then we'll be back in about 10 or 15.
Okay.
All right.
And And we're back.
Okay, so the rest of the gang catches up. Shows up at the. Yes.
We sort of specifically. I had a thing I was gonna do before the groups reunited.
Sure, go ahead.
So, like, during that last little bit of the drive where you're going, I mean, we're going to the parking lot, even though no one's allowed there anymore. So, like, that sort of slightly abandoned bit of road after you get out of the city proper, type of area. This is. See, after we are going to wait on this, but I understand that you've been being taught in the context of the Garou, but the hyper masculine thing aesthetic is not.
Were you talking to C or me?
Fuck no. Shadow. Okay. Why did you two both name your? This happens in every game at some point that I am in.
And the names only have to be similar.
That no two characters should start with the same letter, because this always happens.
Right,
in books too. Yeah, we've got serious letter problems.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Not. You're not my alpha. I kind of really wanted you guys to like me, but not at the expense of what I believe in and who I am. So back off.
Yeah, just has a confused look on his face. He doesn't say anything. He just has a confused look on his face, like he's trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Yep. And that's what.
And Tig is sitting there.
Yeah.
Really trying to figure out, and probably, especially for Thistle, it's probably fairly apparent on his face, because I think Thistle kind of has the capacity to pick up on this more than possibly anybody else in the vehicle at the time.
4 dots of empathy, 4 dots of wit. So yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Yeah, but yeah, no, Tig is just like he has a very sort of oh shit, what do I do look on his face at this point.
Yeah. Tig, we can discuss criticisms of call-out culture later, but...
I don't know what you're talking about, but for sure, fine. Yeah, no, that I think that, yeah.
Z's just kind of laughing.
Shadow remains with a confused look on his face.
This might be my favorite moment of the night, bar none already. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Okay.
I need to find some zines. It's fine. I just...
Right. Yeah. Well, sure.
Like Shadow is still like heat raging, but his face is just confusion.
Yep.
Like you have enough empathy. He's not raging at Thistle. He's just raging in general right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we make it back to the cairn then.
Yep. Eventually we climb our way up there, do the stupid waiting ritual, and get
actually you don't have to wait this time because it's 2 a.m. So there's no tourists.
That's right.
Yep. So you can just hop right over. And as soon as you do, like, Tim makes a beeline to all of you. He's finished his hunt by now and was back to just sort of pacing around.
Okay, so Grudek survived. All right, good.
Yeah, he didn't kill Grudek. And so he makes a beeline for Thistle.
Same. Are you all right?
I've been better. And I survived a huge Bane attack, and yeah, I've been better. So I need to talk to your whole pack, and then Thistle, I'd also like to talk to just you,
Yeah.
family
Absolutely.
stuff. But first, let me talk to all of you, if that's okay. And we're gonna need to go off a bit. I've asked Silver Glare to keep people at bay so that we can have a private conversation, just the six of us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all right with you?
Was I there for that conversation?
For yeah, it was
asking
just like
Silver Glare.
yeah, it was just like an offhand comment, almost like it was almost like 3/4 of a sentence, and she seemed to know what he meant. Like they have like their own way of communicating. So Grudek
It wasn't
may not
like
have
I'm
even
gonna go take care of them.
no,
It was more
just
like Silver Glare run interference.
yeah, it was just like he had some shorthand for this is apparently a thing she's done for him before, like keep people away from my meeting.
When
Okay.
you live in a camp,
Yeah, I mean it's the woods, so
this
Tig is all smiles and sort of just steps to the front in kind of a weird way, but like almost presumptuously. Go on then, yeah. Sounds fine to me.
Actually,
Lay it on us. This is da.
Real quick. Before we went on break, I asked a question to Silver Glare, and I don't know if she ever answered.
oh, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I had asked her who specifically returned to the cairn the morning that Morning Cloud changed her mind about being Right Master.
Unfortunately, she would have said that like basically half the cairn, because there's like there's shifts and people and morning is one time when a lot of people show up from the city, and so yeah, basically everyone who lives in the city showed up.
Okay.
But there weren't like any particular.
Yeah.
All right, so Tim takes you guys off somewhere, and apparently Silver Glare is guarding your back to keep people out of earshot. And he sits you down. Okay. This is not something that I wanted to bring up because I feel like I'm betraying an old friend in doing so, but this is the point where we can't have the luxury of personal loyalties because there are bigger things at stake. But remember how I said that a year ago March Lion told us about Morning Cloud's situation? The reason that he told us that is that he was trying to explain to us why she couldn't take over for him, that she considered herself too weak to take on a position of such responsibility. And we were talking about it because Morning Cloud, because March Lion desperately wants to retire. And the reason that he desperately wants to retire is this thing that's under the cairn has started talking to him. This is a thing. This is the reason that he had to take over. This happened to the last Right Master. He eventually started hearing the voice of this thing under the ground. He called in his old friend March Lion, the only one that he felt he could trust with this information, and he said, I just need you to take over for a little while I distance myself, get my head back together. Apparently distance didn't help. The guy committed suicide not long after that. March Lion has been, I don't know what kind of stuff he's made of, that he's been here for 50 years and managed to keep this thing from gnawing away at his mind, but it has started to. That said, I don't know how many of the other Octena are susceptible to this as well. Again, anybody they're the ones that have close contact with these rituals and these, March Lion leads whatever ritual it is, but there have to be at least 5 of them. This I know. There's always been this thing about there have to be 5 Octena at the sept. We have to keep importing them as we lose them. There always have to be 5, and I don't know to what extent they've been affected by this as well. None of them have been here as long, but they're not as strong as he is, I guess. I don't know.
Marchlion talked to you about this. Did he mention anyone other than Morning Cloud he thought might or could or would take over?
He didn't think anyone else was qualified. He thought everyone else was too young, didn't have as much experience.
Do you have any idea if any of them asked? Sorry.
No, it's a reasonable question. I don't remember anyone being, not in the Octena side, anyone being real interested. Obviously, some of our Children of Gaia theurges looked in that direction.
I understand that. I was just trying to think someone who would contact.
Bridge Runner was interested in, not specifically in the Right Master position, but in being allowed to participate. And he was denied. Four Eyes mentioned it maybe once. They might be interested in kind of apprenticing with them. He was also denied. And what's that roll for?
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was just going to go ahead and roll for it, just to see if I knew of any other times where Bane tenders or anyone else had started hearing a captured Bane talking to them.
Not that you're aware of. No.
Okay.
I mean, in that context, it does make sense that a Noctena Theurge would have been a priority for the Sept.
Yeah, and as far as this whole hearing voices thing, it only seems to have ever happened to Octena. It happened to the last Right Master, who was Octena. It happened to Marchlion. But none of the Children of Gaia have ever said anything about hearing voices or anything like that. Not to say they haven't heard them and just kept it to themselves, but Marchlion's the only one who's admitted to it.
Yeah. And in terms of current, we can assume that there aren't necessarily any who have had that contact with the rituals.
I don't know as much about how the ritual works as I would like. I just know that it takes 5 to do it. That's why they keep having to replace them when we lose them. There have to be at least 5 Octena here because they won't let anyone else do the ritual, and there have to be 5. Maybe because of the 5 trees. I don't know. But yeah, it's got to be 5, and then the Right Master is the only one who knows like everything about how it works. Yeah, and so he's been looking for a replacement because he wants to go off and do the whole Rite of the Werewolf thing and just end it. Which breaks my heart because, yeah, he's tough as nails, that guy. And I'm going to miss him. But the thing is, it wants out. It's asking.
I am only familiar with what Grudek has told us, but what about this Bane makes it unable to be destroyed?
You'd have to ask an Octena. I don't know anything about that stuff. When I find Banes, I kill them. I don't bury them underground and all this crap.
As a Theurge, more generally speaking, would I have any idea?
No, because the Octena Bangers, they keep their stuff really, really close. They're like the only ones that do this weird.
No, just like what might make a Bane too powerful to be destroyed, not how the Octena would do their specific thing. But
probably heard like basic stories about like if there's a Bane that's at a certain level where it just simply cannot be killed by Guru, like at all, that the only option would be, to destroy it or banish it or something. Yeah. Like there's that old legend about the Eater of Souls and how the Croatan like sacrificed their entire tribe just to send it back from whence it came. They couldn't actually kill it. So we might be talking something on the scale.
Yeah. Then Thistle will, and correct me if Thistle would think this is untrue. Banes can get very powerful. I think that it's safe to say that this one just isn't a thing you can punch down.
So they
Grudek-
say.
Grudek nods.
I
Simplest solution would be to get rid of it. That's not an option.
Yeah.
These, from the little I understand, those certainly baytenders have no affection for the Banes they capture. It's simply these are how you say great granddaddy Banes, the big ones.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, I know that it's not exactly, politically correct to say, but the Actena on the whole, they don't share with us their reasons for doing this. And no one has ever, we all say, because we don't want to piss them off, we all say, oh, well, it's probably for the best and they know what they're doing. They're the experts. But I don't know that. I can't confirm that. I know that they've done like experiments on them, that they've been trying to use them to learn more about the worm, which sounds good on the surface. But the thing is, you study something powerful like that, and what's that whole expression about staring into the abyss, right? Like,
Okay, yeah, I understand that you're using that phrase in a certain way, but you're kind of taking out of the context that it's. Sorry.
Well, okay, I mean, what?
Yeah,
but
that's.
But the main thing is when you study something like that and you think you've got power over it, that's when it gets power over you. And I don't. The thing is, though, I don't know a safer. I've gone along with this whole buried under the ground thing because I don't have another option. I don't have a better idea. It was here when I got here. So my job is to keep it under there. I'm not about to let it out and try to fight it because I don't know why they buried it. So I'm not dumb enough. I'm pretty dumb, but I'm not dumb enough to go digging it up.
That's some helpful information you've given there, sir. But we're getting away from the main point of the issue, which isn't. The issue isn't what's under there and what it's doing right now. The issue is what are we doing to make sure it doesn't get out?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that if
the metaphysics are interesting, but we got to figure out what the plan and the location of these black spirals are so that we can fight that. We can fight the Bane another day because it's not going anywhere as long as we can keep the Actena intact.
But if the Bane is talking to our people, maybe our people who are listening to it are taking matters into their own hands. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's valid. And that's the aspect of this conversation that I'm trying to get back to.
Right. And, I was working my way around there, but you know me, I'm methodical. But yeah, my point is if that thing is talking and people are listening and hearing what it's saying and it's saying, let me out, maybe there's somebody who's not as strong as March Lion who's doing its bidding.
And is there any way whatsoever for us to know who it's talking to?
There's not. And so while I agree that the first goal is to just eliminate the real and present threat that we know about, we also got to understand that eliminating that threat might not end the problem until we eliminate whoever it is that caused that threat to be a threat in the first place, if that makes sense.
And yeah, so in relation to all of that, there's another thing. There's whatever approach we take to other defense and potential attack, you're good. I'm not doubting that, but if we don't know who might be compromised, it is possible, even with thorough planning, that they could use that opportunity to accomplish their aims. And I think that we can all agree that would be bad.
Yeah.
No, that would be the best possible option. All right, I want you all to hear me out on this. Now, Tim, you've put out there that the black spiral's like a weak target, aye? They're They like soft things that they can hit hard.
Yep.
We've got, and you're saying there may be a weak link here in the cairn who's been under the influence and might be working alongside. Now, we need to eliminate a threat. We also need to figure out where our weak spots are here. And we need to do both at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves an assault squad together. We're going to take whoever we can who's best able to field themselves and take out these black spirals. Once those people are out of the cairn, down in the city, hunting down black spirals, that's going to leave us vulnerable here, which will be the exact time that a double agent would take their opportunity to try and muck shit up back here at the cairn and reveal themselves. So we need people out. We need to put out that our main objective is taking out these black spirals down in the city and that we're throwing all our available resources at it. And whoever stays, and sure, we'll leave a bit of a rear guard here at the cairn, but we're not expecting them to hit us here because this is where we're defended. This is where we're entrenched. This is where we're safe. This is where we're overconfident. So that traitor whips off their concealment and takes the advantage that we've offered them. And that's when the team left behind here takes out our betrayer. Y'all see what I'm saying here?
This lines up with what I've been thinking.
Grudek
Going
smiles
on the
at you
offensive.
and says, all right, that's 2 times someone
Thistle,
has
what
ever
do you
been
think?
excited by a Ragabosh's plan.
Thistle, what do you think?
No, it's a good plan. It's probably the best plan we're gonna get. It's just spirits, stuff like that, sort of, without knowing the Uktena stuff specifically, still. So my concern is, if we don't know who this traitor is, and so we do this, we have attack team, rear guard, we genuinely are splitting the force. That's an appearance, but it's also actually happening. So depending on the powers and capabilities of the individual who is the traitor, what if they succeed? What if they properly assess that we are weak enough to take on when they assess that we are weak enough to take on, so they take the bait?
So we need to leave enough strength behind to
Yeah.
take on
Well,
that's where-
worst case scenario rips.
Yeah. I was actually thinking the collapse back thing. The I know that you knew that I know. And look, there's this moment. It's like, so I was thinking Clara, but I don't actually know how to pull that off. So
We need worst case scenario of an individual traitor is someone powerful enough that they could handle multiple targets. Worst case scenario is rips.
Also, keep in mind we got an Uktena elder with a death wish who would be more than happy to do whatever it takes to defend this place. So, on defense,
Yeah,
we've got that
well,
going for us.
So my worry about, you're right. Worst case scenario is Rips or someone else who's incredibly physically capable, able to take. But let's hypothetically say it's someone who's a theurge and has more spiritual influence than some of the people we might leave behind on a rear guard. March Lion certainly is incredibly capable as Right Master and incredibly strong, but in that instance, potentially we're leaving. There's more weak spots than just fighting. And again, I think this is the best plan. That's just a concern I have.
Yeah. Well, the cairn also has some defenses that don't involve actual Guru. I mean, we have in the Umbra, we have our spirit defenses set up, so anybody who tries to come in through that way with anything short of a Bane like Pentex had a decade ago. Anything short of that is not going to be able to get through our spirit defenses, which have, by the way, been bolstered by March Lion since then, with that in mind. So coming through the Umbra, it's next to impossible anybody's going to be a threat to us. And then you can see the problems with trying to come on this side.
I'm just wondering.
Even if they knew exactly where to jump over.
Let me clarify a bit here. When I was talking about opportunism, I seriously doubt that say that this situation where we're thinking there's an individual who's working in concert with black spirals or something outside is actually what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the traitor does make a move while everybody else is out hunting the black spirals. I'm not thinking it's going to be one person going toe-to-toe with whoever we've left behind and just murdering the shit out of everybody. It's going to be someone who's taken the chance to try and learn what it is they were after. They'll be after knowledge, they'll be after lore, they'll be after the occult secrets of this place so that they can then take that information
they'll be after
and build it. They'll be after Marsh Lion is right.
So we send all the Uktena on the offensive, so that none of them are left here.
Reasonable enough.
We can
send all the Uktena except for March Lion, who needs to stay here as a target and leave behind enough of a force to protect him.
And we know he's willing to,
But a force that doesn't look like a protective force. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So like a bunch of brand new sworn into the Sept Guru who would be left alone, who would be left behind when a major hunt of importance is going down.
Potentially.
Maybe
I say, just looking at the group of us.
And Thistle actually did that, slouching in the chair thing. Yeah, who might have a slightly overprotective father who's of an authority position to
keep them
decide
out of
where people go. This is not a good plan, but what? Yeah,
so you're thinking. So you're thinking 5 of you stay here with March Lion. Everybody else go after the black spirals, including me.
I don't know.
That paints the biggest target.
Yes. If we do nothing, we lose.
I agree.
If we do this, we have a chance of losing, but we also have a chance of winning.
All right, that means we got to find exactly where they are.
Try a little bit to eliminate a few more people who it might be.
Sure.
Oh, Thistle, you're forgetting. I've already got a plan.
I still don't believe
I know
you.
You've got a plan, and I know your plan is better than my plan.
Your priorities and objectives are right on line.
A lot of the Sept between, I think it's Tuesday night and Wednesday morning came back at some point, correct? As we understand. Is it? It may not be Wednesday.
Whatever day of the week it was, sure.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like Thistle is having this confusion also in character.
Yeah, at this point, you're probably all a little bit.
So, anyone we're confident didn't. March Lion, but again, that's not helpful. Tim?
Remind me why it matters who came back that morning?
Well,
the morning that Morning Cloud changed her mind.
Morning Cloud changed her mind. We know that they didn't have the magic phone at that point, so...
So you're thinking someone brought some information to her that made her change her mind about it? I need to talk to her, I guess. She obviously knows something about what's going on.
I'm just really worried that if suspicion falls to her, her kid's gone, and they know that we're on to them. But
I think
you're the elder. I'm not going to say don't. Just
perhaps if
really
I were
careful.
to talk to her rather than you, I feel it might be remarked upon more by everyone in the Sept were one of the elders to pay her a visit than were I to bring her some breakfast.
Okay.
Does someone have a very insistent parakeet?
Yeah, I'm wondering, what's that whistling sound?
It's one of my dogs that's crying.
Oh, okay. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Right, but this plan only works if the traitor's given the opportunity to stay behind here and reveal themselves. So, whoever you take with you, Tim, to root out these black spirals.
Anybody you suspect should go into the city after him.
That's fair, but
Could be
we should, yes. As
because
Shada
the
says.
traitor will not volunteer to go.
Or we could alternately, if we want to have
volunteers to
let's
stay.
assume that the almost certainly any traitor has been here longer than us. So someone more, if you want to leave behind a small defense force, even though we're less experienced, a volunteer to stay behind with us or two.
Exactly.
All right. My head's starting to hurt with all the ins and outs of this. This is, like I said, I'm not a ragabash, and so this kind of planning is a little, a little much for me. But
that's why we let the ragabash do it.
Yeah. How about I let, I'm going to keep Thistle for a minute, but four of you go off, continue your planning and scheming, and once we have a solid plan that we're in agreement on, and I'd like Silver Glare to be in agreement too. Because I trust her. Once we're all in agreement that this is a good offensive and defensive plan, then I will be the one to execute that plan and make sure that it is done to the letter. But I'm not going to be the one to think it up, probably. Yeah. All right. So four of you, I'll send Thistle back to you shortly. But you keep scheming and doing your scheming stuff.
Sort of look to see. Just give us some privacy, okay?
Yeah.
As we walk
Actually, I need to find a few things.
See.
So.
I need to speak with you as well.
All right.
All right. See, Grudek, Shada, I've got to see a girl about another girl. So just shout if you need anything.
There's like that over dramatic sigh and a head shake.
And whenever you're ready for Tig to go hang outside Estrella's tent, just let me know.
All right.
Where are we starting?
Right. So what shall we start with? Shall we start with let's I'm gonna put off Tim and Thistle for just a second. Let's have at least something in between that. You wanna go, Tig, or Shadow, do you want to talk?
Yeah, we can do Shadow. Me and C first.
Shadow? Okay. Shadow and C first. And then...
I will just start walking towards the more heavily forested areas.
I'm going to step away for a second out of character and let my dog out. So if I miss anything hugely important, let me know.
Sure thing.
Hoping that C will follow.
Yeah, sure.
When we're in a sufficiently forested, away from everyone else area, I'm just going to turn and look at C. Am I going to need to issue a challenge to you every time we enter a combat situation?
Shadow, did I not tell you you were in charge when you started to guide everyone through dangerous locations?
You did.
Did I not tell you you were in charge of the away team heading to the other cairn?
I am not. This is not for you, see. After you issued that, not while we were still in dangerous territory, marked by black spirals, where one of our pack had previously heard the whippoorwill call, while we were still in unknown areas, while danger still potentially lurked, the entire pack reverted to following your orders from the cairn rather than mine. They dropped any pretense of respect for my position, began arguing. So the question remains, not for you, but for the rest of the pack, am I going to need to issue a challenge to you whenever we are in danger or when we are in a combat situation?
If you feel the need to issue a challenge, then do it. But I don't think that's going to engender respect from the pack.
Then I need to know what to do. You are the Half Moon. This is your area of expertise. The pack will not follow my orders in combat if they will not give the respect the full moon deserves in dangerous areas. Then I cannot protect them and I cannot keep them alive. If they are going to argue or question every thought that I have or every statement I make, then they will die to the worm and I will not be able to protect them.
Did anyone question you while we were within the confines of the Mills Hotel?
I'm trying to think back to that now.
No one did.
No.
Did anyone question?
Actually, yes.
Rudek
Yes,
said,
they
"I
did,
think
actually.
that's worm," and Thistle said, "You're a fucking idiot." So, yeah.
Actually, yes. Yes, in fact,
Very
yes.
different ways. I think Grudek informed you of capabilities.
Yes, they did.
How?
I will reiterate. Shadow will reiterate in Shadow's mannerisms the events that happened that would have led to the disrespect to the Alrune position.
Informing you of capabilities within a new pack is not disrespect, it's making sure you're properly equipped. Thistle is perhaps a bit aggressive at times when it comes to individuality, but that is not Zur failing. That is a strength that you should lean on. Rely on the fact that Z can be independent when Z needs to be, and yet will always act with the pack's well-being in mind. Z is a healer.
But if I make a statement or a command, and Z balks at it because, to quote Zur words, I am not Zur Alpha, Z will die, and I will not be able to protect Zur.
The situation, as I read it, was no longer in combat. You had retreated from the park to a location where you were preparing to leave and planning was being done. This was a place where Z may, rightfully or not, have considered it to have returned to a location where the Half Moon should be making judgment calls. Perhaps, rather than feeling that your right in combat is being questioned, question whether or not you are still within combat. In moments of true danger, I have no doubt the pack will obey your call. There is no one here more fit to determine tactics in combat. But for planning, for future events to unfold, the rest of the pack needs to have its say.
I agree. I only wish that in times of immediate danger, that the questioning would be put on hold, and the respect due given.
I think in that particular moment, it was because the danger had passed.
I do not think it had, but that is for different perspectives.
And perspective is the key in this particular moment. The idea being that if Thistle disagrees and you are in a combat situation, Thistle's disagreement, I suspect that Z will put their disagreement aside for the sake of being in a combat situation. Z will disagree much more vehemently when Z sees that combat is not near. If Z is being vehement about their disagreement, perhaps question whether you are still within a combat situation. Perspective is key. And I know, as the full moon, you're keenly aware of combat, but keen senses often will see what they're looking for in places where it is not.
I will trust the Half Moon's wisdom on this.
And speaking of Thistle, let's take a moment and shift over to Tim and Thistle. Tim waits for everybody to be well out of earshot.
Yeah.
And Silver Glare still on the prowl
I
to
should
make sure nobody...
specify none of this is being relayed back to the rest of the group.
Okay.
None of
So
that
this
was
is
being
a-
relayed back
Yeah,
either.
no.
Right.
Yeah,
So
no
that was a
shit.
private conversation, and now
No
we're moving
shit.
to another...
We're not like, because Thistle wouldn't have necessarily minded. There just would have been a constant stream of shade.
Which
Shadow's
probably would
just
not have...
mentally subtweeting Thistle the entire time.
No. Okay, and now we move to another private channel conversation.
Now we know what
As,
kind of tree.
as
Thistle is.
Tim sits
Shade
down
tree.
with Thistle, and he kind of rakes his hands back over his thinning scalp and straightens his ponytail and looks like he's trying to find the right words. All right, Thistle, for obvious reasons, maybe dumb reasons, but true reasons, I trust you more than anybody here. And I know that you're young, but I think that you have wisdom by the nature of your creation. And
I try.
so I trust my Rowan, and so I trust you. Even if you weren't my offspring, just your being offspring of my Rowan would be enough. So I'm going to tell you something, and I need to trust you that you will not give this information to anyone else, even your pack members. And I want you to understand that I'm not trying to get away with anything.
It's okay.
My concern is the safety of this cairn. I take that more seriously than anything. And everything that I have done has been in an attempt to protect this cairn. But I need to tell you something.
That's okay.
I've made a mistake. I've made a very, very, very large mistake. I underestimated the threat that those young black spirals posed. And I thought, this is me stepping outside my auspice, I thought that I could manage them. I thought that I could use them to uncover the corruption on the Uktena side of this cairn and get that wiped out once and for all so that we can get access to those rights and protect this cairn properly and not leave it to the Uktena, who are hearing voices and doing God knows what at the bidding of that thing. I knew the only way we could get them out of there is if they're proven to be agents of the worm. And I thought that if there was some way I could get the black spirals to tempt them, and then that could be revealed, then we would get them all cleaned out and get somebody safe protecting the cairn. Well, this is what happens when an RN tries to be a Ragabash, and this is all on me. So what I'm telling you, Thistle,
It's okay.
is that you can trust everyone else at this sept because this was me. This is my fault. And I'm prepared to face the consequences of that. But I need you not to tell anybody else what I've done because they're not going to understand that I did it for the right reasons.
But I have questions.
All right.
I need to know what specifically what was you.
I was the one on the phone with them, with Ethan, their leader. All right, I've been in contact with him, or I was until we lost the phone. I was going to give him just enough information, not enough to risk us, but just enough information that he would know where the Uktena's corruptible sides were, so that they could do their best. And if they failed, great, then we know that the Octena are not corruptible, right? If they succeeded, then I have evidence that I can bring to Tea Tree and say, look, the Octena are messed up. I was just going to test them. That's all I was going to do, but it got completely out of my control. Because apparently these black spirals have more information than I thought they did. So I thought they were just a bunch of kids. There's 6 of them. And look, here's the thing, and this is why you need to know what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know exactly where they are. I know their whole operation. I was working with them. I got them set up in the city. But I can't tell the others that. You understand? I can't tell them why I know everything. So you got to help me. I'm no Ragabash. I can't figure out how to make this all make sense, but I need to give them this information. And I am prepared to die for what I've done, but I want to die with honor. Do you understand? I don't want to die being called the traitor to the sept. I want a chance to atone for what I've done by giving my life, but I want to do it honorably. So I need you to help me. I need you to help me figure out how to get this information to them without letting them know that it was me.
I really hate when my guesses turn out to be right. I think I'm learning that about being out of... Okay. I'm not Ragabash either. This is not...
But you're smart.
Sorry. Yeah.
Smarter than I am by a long shot. I will tell you what I know about where they are, and I will just trust you to find some other way to say you got this information. And then we will wipe them out, and then it'll all be moot. They can't do any harm. I do know for a fact that there's 6 of them. They're teenagers. They were out here just looking for glory to prove themselves, just like you and your pack. They just went through their rite of passage. They're wet behind the ears, and they just wanted a chance for some glory.
Okay, so why do I keep mixing those two up? Morning Cloud's kid.
Yeah.
You told him where?
I didn't. Well, I told them because, again, I was trying to tell them ways they might tempt them. And I said, this is her weakness. She's got a Guru kid. And, but I didn't know that they knew where the Tarson were. I still don't know how they got that information. I don't know how they found them.
The Tarson have been in the same place a long time, right?
But, the Black Spirals have never had I haven't mixed with them before. I had no way of thinking that they would know where they were. I just told her that she had a kid that he was hidden away with her kinfolk, and they somehow found out where her kinfolk were. They're just smarter than I gave them credit for, is the thing. And
yeah.
But there are only 6 of them. They are young, and they are, I can assure you at this point, still pretty isolated. They don't have a lot of resources. They went off on their own. They left their, whatever you call their septs. They left them, and they're on their own hoping to prove themselves. So they're still isolated. Last I checked, if we wipe them out now, we can stop this from going any further up their chain.
Did you communicate with Morning Cloud at all in regards to this, trying to...
I haven't spoken to her. I didn't know what to say because this is my fault. What happened to her?
Okay.
I'm no good.
Yeah. You're the Cairn Warder. They got a message into the Sept somehow. Not only did they know where the other ones are, but they knew they were able to get a message to...
That was probably, there's a couple messengers that the Tarson used to use to bring letters up here. Morning Cloud has gotten other letters from them before. I imagine they just use the same channels. Anna would know
And
more.
those channels would have been a thing that would have been, assuming by Oak Tenant secrecy, pretty hard to trace.
Yeah, there's some kinfolk in the city that had some dealings with the Tarson, and they were usually used as go-betweens to take messages to Morning Cloud from them.
And you said Anna specifically would know some of that?
Usually the one they would bring the messages to, because she often works down at the gift shop or the cafeteria, and then she would come up to the Sept with the messages. So it probably would be Anna met with some kinfolk from the city. They handed her a message, and then she carried the message up here.
Right. All right.
It's just they always in place coming from their compound.
Okay. So you said you know where they are, so they're not at the place Grudek sniffed out.
Grudek, if Grudek can find them with that way.
No, Grudek only sensed that they were below the city, where there was almost certainly an entrance below that hotel. I think he told you and the other elders. I just told my version of the story.
See if you can find some other.
Sorry, Michelle, I'm losing
Yeah.
you. I think my internet might
No,
be.
it's not you. Michelle, your audio is cutting out.
Oh, well, I don't know why.
Does your headset need new batteries? It has a blinking red light on one side. Or it looked like
Sorry
it had a
about
blinking red,
that.
It looked like it had a blinking red light on the right-hand side.
I'm not seeing that.
Oh, I must have just been a trick of the light then. I thought it had a blinking red light.
No, there isn't any.
Anyway.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can find some other way of locating them, I'll tell you they're in the sewers, not directly under their main hangout is not directly under the hotel, but a couple blocks away in the sewers. If you can get with the Bonar in the city, or somebody who could conceivably discover their location, then you don't have to say you learned it from me, but find some way to find them in the sewers.
Do you know if there's an entrance at the place we found before?
Well, there may be an entrance from there. I'm not sure, but I do know that 2 blocks west, 1 block north, there's a manhole cover. You can just lift it right up and climb down. And the way the sewers are built in San Francisco, you have to go one at a time, but you can crawl through there. But you'll have to get the plans, and you'll have to figure out where you're all going to go down so that you can hem them in. And there have to be enough of you to outnumber them, because there's 6 of them. And you'll have to go single file through there. But I can show you exactly on a map where they're squatting, and then you can find entrances on all sides of them, and you can hem them in and just take them out. But I would prefer that you find some other way of finding that location other than saying you heard it from me, because how would I know?
Okay.
Looks like it's Grudek's time to shine.
Oh, that depends on what Thistle does. I need to just see how honest he's being. I want to see, essentially, if he's trying to manipulate me, or just in general honesty. I know I'm at a difficulty penalty for not having my pack here. Would that be an empathy check?
I'm sorry, I was reading while you were talking. Say that again.
I was wondering if I want to know how honest he's being, if he's trying to manipulate me
Okay, yeah, I would do perception and empathy, difficulty 6.
Not wits in this case?
It would be perception because you're trying to perceive a
All right.
thing. Yeah. Just like, yeah. Difficulty 6 because he's not all that complicated a person.
Yeah, which is usually post-event analysis rather than in the
Okay.
moment.
Well, that's not what wit says in the description of wit. But that's fine. Wit says it's the quick thinking one. But that's fine. 1 success.
Okay. Yeah, he seems just like sincere, like he just needs your help. Like
Yeah.
he looks like kind of backed into a corner.
And you think they'd likely keep a hostage there?
They wouldn't have anywhere else to take the kid if they've taken him. That's the only home they have. 5 of the 6 of them are metis and just they're not going to be traveling above ground.
Okay.
Ethan's the only one that can be seen by anybody in the city.
All right. We'll have people go out. Obviously, I think I'm going to be planning with the rest of my group, but there are ways that information we could have discovered bits and pieces of and now be putting it together.
If there's any way that I can die without this being known, I would prefer that. So anything you can do to help me out. I'm going to pay for it either way. I'm fully planning to be part of this assault, and I will give my life to make sure that those black spirals are no longer a threat. And I think that's payment enough. I don't want my name dragged down too. I've served this cairn for too long and too well.
Yeah, I know. I can respect not wanting, for lack of a better term, certain retcons to how people see you.
Yeah. Because I still am who I am, and my intentions were always good. I'm just too dumb and too old and too slow, and I messed this up. But
Okay.
just, yeah, you don't have to make up your mind right now. I just needed to tell you that before this goes any further, because I didn't want you delaying your planning because you still don't know who to trust. You know who screwed up. It was me. So now you can carry on, and we can just get this thing done.
Yep.
And we're going to stop there for the night and deal with the fallout next week.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.